He gave us a ride,
Yeah.
okay, and we taped it, and you can hear me going, my voice went up about 3 octaves. I was so excited. Corey
Yeah.
said he's got a sore ear from me giggling or whatever. I've sat in F-18s. I didn't fly them, but I was sat in them and I saw how everything was supposed to work on the ground.
Yeah.
I flew, or through a simulator, I flew a C-17. I know what you can do and what you can't do, what autopilot will cut it. And I never seen anything, never, ever seen anything quite like what you've got in the new self-driving thing. This is just absolutely brilliant. This should get into the marketplace as fast as...
Welcome back, everybody. My name's Nicholas, and this is Investing Against the Grain. Before we get into the video today, we have a goal to hit 50 subscribers by the end of July. Right now, we're sitting at 37, so we're 13 subscribers away. If you enjoy this type of content, please help us out by hitting the subscribe and like button below. All right, in today's video, we're going to be looking at an article written by Andrew Hawkins from The Verge. He's their transportation reporter. He has some interesting perspectives, to say the least, with regards to Tesla's full self-driving version 9 and their autopilot software that's set to come out soon. We'll also take a look at some new tweets from Elon that gives a little bit of insight into the version 9 beta that will be being released, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, we'll end it with a tweet released by Elon just yesterday, and it leaves a lot for the imagination with interpretation that there might be something coming up very soon that could send the stock a lot higher. So stick with us to the end, hit the like button, please subscribe, and let's get into it. So here's the article from Andrew Hawkins from The Verge. Headline, Elon Musk just now realizing that self-driving cars are a hard problem. So, right out the gate, a little bit of a, I would say biased headline. Just the spin that they're putting on it. This is being derived from a tweet Elon had put out with regards to an individual asking about the release. We'll get into that in a little bit. We do see the tweet below. But just out the gate, if I didn't know better, I would immediately say that this was already going to be a biased article. So we scroll down. Tesla CEO Elon Musk is finally admitting that he underestimated how difficult it is to develop a safe and reliable self-driving car, to which the entire engineering community rose up as one to say, no duh. So, to begin with, the whole engineering community clearly did not rise up to say no duh. That's obviously hyperbole on Andrew's part. But again, for someone who's supposed to be a reporter and The Verge's transportation reporter, the angle coming at this article is already kind of with a slant bias. If we continue, it gets a little worse. Or at least that's how it should have been in a just world. So again, suggesting that, Elon Musk, can do no wrong, apparently, that the world isn't just because we're not critiquing the man who's trying to change the world. I don't really understand this type of logic, but, I get it. It gets clicks, it gets views, and, in today's day and age, there is no real news. It's more so just all tabloid type articles. Instead, all the Tesla sycophants and ass kissers on Twitter told Musk to keep up the good work, that they believe in him and encourage him to hurry up and roll out the latest version of his full self-driving software that, it's worth pointing out, does not enable a Tesla vehicle to drive itself without input from the driver. Now, I'm not really sure what point Andrew's trying to drive here. First of all, he's just calling names to anybody who is a Tesla fan, it appears, sycophants and ass kissers. I don't know what the appeal is here. You're not going to win an audience like this. I would also say that, this insertion that even with it, the cars can't drive themselves. Well, yes, we'll use your own words, against you. No duh. That's why it's called a beta version. So the idea of, Tesla users wanting to get the software out there as soon as possible is so that beta testers can help improve it so that it can be the real deal and it can drive itself. So, to Andrew, I say right back to you, no duh. Musk has a long history of overpromising and under-delivering when it comes to his company's so-called full self-driving software. He did it in 2018 when he promised that the long-awaited version 9 would begin rolling out in August. He did it again in 2019, proclaiming that a year from now, there would be over 1 million cars with full self-driving software, everything. So, is this true? Yes, it is true. Elon has, promised, and, he has been ambitious with his timelines, but he's always done that, right? But at the end of the day, what we do know is he always has hit his targets. He's always hit his goals, even if he's slightly off. If we go back in time, let's say by 2030, we've had full self-driving, we have robo-taxis, let's say it's out there and it's been out there. I don't think anybody's going to look back and, rebuke Elon for, well, you said in 2018, it didn't happen until 2021. I mean, the big scheme of things, this is a drop in the bucket, right? It doesn't even register on the map of timeline. So, does he have a point? Sure, but is it a good one? I don't think so. I mean, a lot happened between 2018 and 2019, 2020. Fundamentally, Andre Karpathy realized that, the way they were going, the same way Waymo and Cruise, everyone else is going with LiDARs. They realized that was not the way, and a fundamental rewrite had to happen. And this is where neural nets were introduced. And this is what, if you have followed any of this, they call it Code 2.0. So in other words, the idea is humans won't be able to code away this problem, but neural nets will be able to do it. So again, is it a point? Yes. Is it a good point? I think not. So if we keep going, he continues to say he was back at it again this past weekend, promising that full self-driving 9 beta is shipping soon, with an added "I swear," just in case you had any doubts about his solemnity. Okay, so here's the actual tweet. Full self-driving beta 9 is shipping soon, I swear. Generalized self-driving is a hard problem as it requires solving a large part of real-world AI. Didn't expect it to be so hard, but the difficulty is obvious in retrospect. Nothing has more degrees of freedom than reality. So this is arguably the leader of the two most innovative companies in the world, SpaceX and Tesla. And he is humble enough to tweet this to a individual, a Tesla customer who had renamed their vehicle 2 weeks, which is, in jest towards Elon with regards to when full self-driving 9 beta would be released. So, I think the way this is taken out of context and used in this article, obviously it's used with a negative connotation, but, I think we should see more things like this from CEOs, right? I mean, you don't see things like this from Apple or Twitter or Amazon. I mean, this is open. This is transparent. This is what we want from our leaders, and namely our leaders who are, shaping the world with innovation and what the future is going to look like. Instead, Andrew's choosing to, bash Elon for this transparency and this humility. But, to each their own, I guess. There's no question that Tesla is more willing than its competitors to test beta versions of its autopilot driver assist feature on its customers in the interest of gathering data and working out any bugs in the system. And Tesla customers are mostly fine with this, routinely flooding Musk mentions, begging to be whitelisted for the current version of full self-driving. This has helped contribute to Tesla's public reputation as a leader in autonomous driving, despite its vehicles continuously falling short of what most experts would agree defines a self-driving car. So this is a interesting, point, and I think it conflates two separate softwares. On the one hand, you have the autopilot software, which, is just essentially a more advanced version of your autopilot you would have in any standard car. On the other hand, they're conflating it with full self-driving, or FSD Beta. Now, none of these, at any point has Elon, Tesla, or anyone ever called it, totally autonomous driving or full self-driving in, completion form. With the autopilot, there are very clear instructions whenever you enable it and whenever you first use it. You have to be engaged constantly, right? There's a lot of things that go into it from a safety perspective, and at no point should a driver ever, not be paying attention or aware or fall asleep at the wheel or anything of the nature. With the full self-driving beta, same thing applies. But when he refers to people, reaching out to him, asking to be whitelisted for the beta version, the way it's set up right now is that there are 2,000 beta testers that Tesla has individually picked out based on their driving record and based on what they do, how long they've been Tesla owner. There's a lot of aspects. It's a huge spectrum of how they chose these 2,000 individuals, and they are the beta testers with the full self-driving beta software. Now, if any of them break any of the rules, they immediately lose access to the beta version, right? Tesla's constantly monitoring it. So, in my opinion, that doesn't constitute as using them as guinea pigs, if you will. In my opinion, that's individuals asking to be part of a test, right? It's no different than pharmaceutical companies asking people to come in and do a trial for them. It's the exact same thing. They're knowingly, volunteering to do this and help out, and Tesla is, making sure that they're doing everything the right way.
Are they testing the software on cars that are they essentially using people who are out on the roads as live guinea pigs for this technology?
I wouldn't use the word guinea pigs. I've heard that so many times. I really don't think that's a good idea. But anyway, even in hospitals, they don't have guinea pigs anymore. But at the end of the day, I think that what we're looking at here is we're moving into a safer environment. Anytime you can have 8 times better for anything, that's the right way to go. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. That's why it's not self-driving vehicles. But it's a lot better than the average that we've got right now, which is, like I say, every 500,000 miles, somebody's going to get into a crash.
It sounds to me like you would not be a fan of putting this self-driving technology on pause until it's perfected.
I would be furious if we don't start doing something for the reduction of car accidents, and we're staring at something that's already 8 times better, and it's only been in the marketplace for a few years. I mean, that's criminal. Whoever decides to throw that out, they definitely don't have the general public at heart. That's a fact.
So I'm not really sure why these two things are being conflated here. So let's continue in the article. It says, Tesla says autopilot is safe. It releases quarterly reports with selectively reported data that it says proves this, but that it also requires constant input from the driver in order to work. Okay, so this again is very misleading. To say that Tesla cherry picks the data, Tesla provides the data based on the highway driving, because right now autopilot is meant for highway driving, right? Cities and Streets version has not been released. So that's not cherry picking or, massaging the data. Those are the rules right now, right? That is how they have released the software. So again, misleading, completely. And it is safe. At the end of the day, it is safer than Tesla or than individuals not allowing autopilot to drive on the highways. The numbers are there. They don't lie. They're safer by orders of magnitude at this point. Now, with regards to full self-driving beta, well, listen to this clip from Sandy Monroe as far as, the safety of that.
I actually, John, what's John's last name?
John McElroy.
No, the guy that gave us a ride.
The head of the Silicon.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll just say
Silicon.
John.
LA Silicon Valley.
Yeah, LA Silicon Valley, whatever. I thought. Anyways, he gave us a ride,
Yeah.
okay, and we taped it, and you can hear me going, you know, my voice went up about 3 octaves. I was so excited. Corey said he's got a sore ear from me giggling or whatever. I've sat in F-18s. I didn't fly them, but I was sat in them and I saw how everything was supposed to work on the ground.
Yeah.
I flew, or through a simulator, I flew a C-17. I know what you can do and what you can't do, what autopilot will get it. And I never seen anything, never, ever seen anything quite like what you've got in the new self-driving thing. This is just absolutely brilliant. This should get into the marketplace as fast as possible. It's accurate. It's much more accurate than what we have in the Model 3. It's accurate. It's kind of aggressive because if there's a hole, it'll find that hole. It makes left-hand turns, which I've heard from everybody can't be done. I mean, these are the things that this will save more lives than airbags, seat belts, and anything else that anybody's ever gotten. Because
I think that's correct. It will.
Yeah. I was so impressed. I couldn't believe it.
There you have Sandy Monroe, you know, somebody who's actually tested the FSD Beta version 8.2, not even version 9, and he is convinced that this will save more lives than seatbelts, airbags, you know, it goes on. He says this needs to be out in the market as soon as possible, right? Again, that is the difference between some, you know, random tabloid writer and, you know, a actual engineer, a actual automotive engineer, an engineer of engineers. Let's continue an article here. Meanwhile, AV companies like Waymo have real driverless vehicles on public roads giving rides to passengers. Waymo, like practically every AV company, uses a combination of different sensors like radar, LiDAR, and cameras to ensure there are redundancies in case any system failures. Tesla recently switched to a camera-only sensing system. The contrast between Tesla and every other company pursuing self-driving technology couldn't be more stark. Agreed. Very much agreed. The difference is, first of all, Waymo does not have real self-driving. Waymo essentially has a car on tracks. They have geofence an area, most notably just Arizona. They have geofence of a couple miles. They have mapped it out in high-def resolution like crazy. They're constantly doing updates on these maps. And then, yes, they do have these cars out there in this, you know, geofenced area giving, you know, driverless rides without anyone in the driver's seat. However, there is someone monitoring it. There is somebody constantly controlling, and you can look up YouTube videos. You know, the second that anything happens, the individual has to wait in the vehicle until a technician comes out, gets in the vehicle, takes over, and takes the individual to their destination. This is not real self-driving, right? This is, you know, limping by and saying that, you know, you have something you don't. And then to sit here and try to contrast with Tesla, because Tesla is going with a vision-only approach. Again, back to 2018, 2019, Andrew, what you criticized before when Tesla went ahead and pivoted. It's not that Elon is delaying things on purpose or making, you know, false promises. It's that he realized that, you know, there was a minimum of improvement that he would have gotten if they continued down the same course, right? They essentially had a local maximum where they started to plateau. So this is where, you know, software 2.0 and neural nets and all that came in. And this is why they've gone away from all the sensors and relied just on vision, right? So they will have real full self-driving. They'll have a real autonomous vehicle without any crutches. And it'll be scalable. We won't have to have a geofence. You could put the vehicle anywhere and it'll work. So very, very different approaches. And it doesn't mean that one is safer than the other by any means. If anything, you could argue that the Tesla is still safer than what Waymo or anyone else is doing. So let's continue on down here. He goes on to give his opinion. I, for one, am all for Musk taking as long as he wants with the release of version 9. Let the cake bake for as long as it needs, in my opinion, especially after viewing videos like the one to just come out of China of a Tesla Model 3 in autopilot utterly failing to take a sharp turn and crashing into a ditch. An anonymous Twitter user who uses the handle @green_the_only to post hacks of Tesla's autopilot recreated the scenario to demonstrate how the company's driver assist feature struggles with these sharp turns. With an overlay of Tesla's autopilot display running in the corner of the screen, green the only shows how the vehicle actually outputs various alerts before the eventual takeover. Before the eventual takeover, we are giving up. Other times, the car actually slows down enough and manages to take the turn safely. Again, you're not proving anything with this, Andrew. This is autopilot, which again is no different than anyone else's vehicle having autopilot. You have to be engaged. You have to pay attention. It'll warn you when you need to take over. So again, this is to me, a non-issue. You know, it's sad that there was a crash. You know, I feel for the person. I have empathy for them, but they should have been paying attention. It's their job to pay attention. They're still driving the vehicle and they know the risk, right? It's very clear. A system that fails to take a sharp turn in half the cases should not inspire a great amount of confidence. Quite the opposite, actually. The number of open investigations into vehicle crashes involving Tesla autopilot seem to be growing in inverse relation to customer expectations about Musk's ability to deliver on the promises he's been making and breaking for years now. Musk isn't alone in coming to the realization that self-driving cars are hard. Nearly the entire industry was predicting that by now our roads would be swarmed with self-driving cars, only to later admit they underestimated how complicated it was to get cars to drive themselves safely and reliably. To which we can now say to Musk, welcome to the party, pal. Again, just the way this whole article ends, very, bias and a slant against Tesla. It just comes off like a tabloid article. Even in this whole part right here, look, I don't think you understand, this is autopilot. It's not full self-driving. You're trying to compare the features of autopilot to FSD Beta version 8.2 or Beta 9. It's not the same thing, right? It's apples and oranges. Now that we've addressed this fuddish article from Andrew, why don't we end this video on a high note with a couple of recent tweets from Elon Musk. Okay, so over here, we can see a reply that Elon had posted from to F9 Block 5 asking, after what we've seen with revised software for Model S Plaid, will we eventually see any new UI for 3 and Y? And Elon responds, yes, updated UI coming with full self-driving wide release. All cars with FSD computer will have new mind of car view. All 3 and Y can be upgraded to have FSD computer. So this is very interesting. It sounds like everything we've seen with regards to the FSD Beta 8.2 and presumably when 9 comes out, that we'll be able to have a very similar visualization as what we've seen with the YouTube videos of the 8.2 from the 2000 beta testers. So that's pretty exciting. I would imagine that the aesthetics of it will be a lot more polished and just a little better of an experience aesthetically. Probably a very good call from Tesla and Elon and team to have that. I think there's a comfort level with people whenever they can look over to their screen, look out into the road, and get a lot of confirmation about what's happening or what's going to happen and what's coming up next. So I think that's a brilliant call and exciting to see that would come paired with the wide release of FSD V9. So that's pretty exciting. Just to touch on one thing, you do see right here the 3 and Y upgraded to FSD computer. I don't think that's anything worth really talking too much about, but I'm sure some people are going to be looking at it saying, hey, why would Y have to have a updated computer? I think this is really just referring to Model 3. It seems like Elon was just using the same kind of nomenclature that this tweet question was initially posed as with 3/Y, and so 3/Y here as well. I wouldn't read too much into that. Okay, so one more tweet that I want to go over, and this one I would say is a little more speculative or a lot of conjecture on my part. So before I show it to you guys, let's kind of recap some of the recent tweets that we've had from Tesla. So we had a little bit of a hint from Elon before the stock split, talking about the stock was too high. There was a interesting coincidence between the date and time that was posted and how that reflected with the stock split and things of that nature. But also recently, we've had Elon talk about how Tesla could become the largest company in the world. And then he followed that up by in the next few months. And then he deleted that right away. That was interesting. And then we have Andre Karpathy out here giving a demo and a lecture on neural nets and FSD and the status of it. And then right after that, we have Elon coming out and talking about AI Day and how that's going to be coming in the next month. So end of July, early August. So with that kind of setup, right? So a lot there. Let's look at Elon's recent tweet. So here we can see it. Before I blow it up, let me just talk about what we see. We see this is from the first movie of Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. We can see Harry looking at the mirror. I forget what the mirror is called. And he's asking Dumbledore, "What does this mirror do, Professor?" So now I'm going to blow it up. Dumbledore responds, "It shows us nothing more or less than the deepest, most desperate desire of our hearts." And then here we can see a candle chart that obviously has a very bullish up and to the right trajectory. So again, not sure if Elon is giving us a hint of something to come, but it is fun to hypothesize about these things. Okay, everybody. So we'll leave it there for today. If you enjoy this type of content, please help us out. We are trying to get to 50 subscribers by the end of July. So if you want to see more of these types of videos, please subscribe, please hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time.